The KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm still waiting for the comprehensive biopic about Devo. That's the one I want to see.
Yeah.
There's so precious little bit of actual information about the band. I bought a Devo book, like the official Devo, with the band's sort of blessing, and I started reading it recently, and it's mind-blowing. Like, there's so much going on there. Mark Mothersbaugh and Chrissie Hynde were in a band in high school together. All kinds of stuff. Jerry Casale, Gerald V. Casale, the other main guy in Devo, was at Kent State when the shooting happened. He was standing with his girlfriend who was killed right next to her. Like, he was that close to taking a bullet himself. So many things about that band in Akron that day that led to that. By the time the world heard of Devo, they were kind of already done. They'd been this local art house band for all these years. Anyway, that would be a fascinating film that me and 9 other people would pay tickets for.
Oh, I
it wouldn't be like, Bohemian Rhapsody. Let's just put it that way. They're not going to be $1 billion on the back end of a Devo film. But like I said, sometimes, that I would watch that. I would watch a movie about the Replacements, even though I know it. Well, I would hate it going in, because if there's one band you can't make a film about, it's the Replacements. The album Tim, one of my favorite albums of all time, is it's been remixed finally for the first time by someone who knows how to mix a record. Ooh. And we were discussing, but do we really want to hear the Replacements sound good?
I mean, the Replacements are their flaws. I mean, it's in the lyrics, it's in the music. It was their whole philosophy was truth through inebriation.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good, that's a good slogan. Put that on a crest of, like a crest of arms, a seal, like a family seal.
Right.
Truth through inebriation. That's pretty good.
But that album was, among all the Replacement albums, even a bit more flawed than I knew. Years later, you would hear about, how Bob Stinson was, wandered in like twice and laid down a few things they were able to use. And they had to, Tommy and Paul had to kind of fill in the other guitar parts. So it wasn't all it should have been. But you know what? I will listen to the remix, and I will love it a lot. But, I'll probably just favor, for sentimental reasons, the original.
Sure. I get you there. A Replacements movie, it would be a problem because they'd put, like, Timothy Chalamet in as Westerberg, and right away it's, like, way too handsome.
Yeah, way too handsome.
The greatest rock film... See, I have a problem with rock films, being a rock purist douchebag, spoiled brat like I am. So I'm always like, that's not how it really is, and I get in my own head about things. That said, Bohemian Rhapsody, which everybody I know saw... which is a $1 billion film about the band Queen. I'm well aware of all the factual inaccuracies. The movie's full of them, but who cares? It's a fun movie. For whatever reason, none of that bothered me. There are other movies I watch where I get really annoyed. Is it the greatest rock film of all time? I can't imagine that it is. Candace, what is your greatest rock movie ever?
Detroit Rock City.
Detroit Rock City. And that is about what exactly?
Kiss.
Okay,
it's more about kids trying to get to a Kiss concert, so I don't know if that counts. Does that count?
No, it counts.
Okay.
That's a rock movie. It doesn't have to be about one band. It can be about the experience around a band. No, I like that a lot. Detroit Rock City. Okay, I know it exists. I assume there was a Kiss tie-in. I've yet to see it, but I will watch it on your recommendation.
I always wanted to see that. Look
fine film.
Tony, is there a rock film of any sort that you? I mean, it could be even a documentary, but like, what's the best? What's the highest? What's the pinnacle? What's the one you said, man, that's great?
Well, if it counts, this is Spinal Tap. Does that count as
I absolutely think it does count.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that gets to the core of it. That one is.
You know why that movie is so funny? Honest to God, because it's totally real.
Yeah,
right. And this is a absolute true story. Steven Tyler has been on the record several times, and this came up in a conversation when the Black Crowes were with Aerosmith in 1999, and he said flat out, he goes, I went to see that movie, and he was wasted when he saw it. He goes, I didn't know it wasn't real. I didn't laugh once. I thought I was just watching a movie about a band.
Oh, God.
I mean, he was high as a kite, but still, it checks out. There are so many conversations you have on tour about the deli meat in the dressing room not being up to snuff. It's mind-boggling.
It's folded.
It's that simple. Yeah. I've always said every band, whatever band the Beatles are the only ones that seem to escape this. Although, of course, they exploded, they imploded. But every band is a clown car. If you're going to make a movie about a band and it's not a dark comedy, you're missing the point. You can respect and love the music they make, but you have to recognize it's a clown car. That's all you need to know about it. Because let's not kid ourselves. You give a bunch of young guys or gals, you give them everything they ever wanted, then very few handle it appropriately. Suddenly that band becomes like, the SALT II treaties. I used to say in our band, picking the first single or deciding on lunch, same fight, same intensity to the fight. We had Lulu's Mexican yesterday.
It sounds a bit like, it's a lot like a dysfunctional family, where you find yourselves arguing about something trivial, but that's not what it's about.
No, it's because it's never about what you think you're fighting about. That's true. The second biggest grossing film of all time is Elvis from 2022. That's done about a third of the business of Bohemian Rhapsody, to give you a sense of just how damn big Bohemian Rhapsody was. I'm going to throw one out there that I really think is fantastic. The more I've seen it, School of Rock.
That was excellent.
Yeah.
I've probably watched that more than anything else on the list. It's just kind of it's like a Dumb and Dumber, it's like an Animal House. It's a go-to, I don't know what to watch. I'll just watch School of Rock again.
It's sweet.
Let's get rocking.
It's very sweet. It's very funny. But then it's one of those that, you start watching it because it's on cable all the time. And, by the time I was in some of those scenes for the third or fourth time, I was really beyond charmed. I just there's so much warmth and heart and just enough, and then it knows when it's kind of making fun of itself, but then it's also, at the end of the day, like everything like Jack Black does, at the end of the day, it is truly paying tribute to the greatness of rock music. And that's what in a way that's like, yes, it's over the top, but it's rock music. Of course it's over the top, and of course you should love it that much. That movie I absolutely love it. Can't stop watching it.
Jack Black means everything to me.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's definitely top
on the
five
short list.
I gotta meet.
I imagine he's probably, he had a TV show he was developing about a rock band. They were going to shoot it in Nashville. Pandemic hit. I never heard about it again. But he's got a lot of things. He's behind the scenes. There are several other big rock movies slated, apparently in the works. Martin Scorsese is going to direct a biopic about the Grateful Dead, and Jonah Hill is going to play Jerry Garcia.
I could see that.
I could see it too.
Yeah.
I only accept it because you said Martin Scorsese. You threw that in. Any other director, I would have went, I don't know. But I'm not interested. Grateful Dead, what a band. One of the great bands. I'm just talking about bands of all time. They're up there with the Stones as far as, longevity and just what they've done. They're unique among themselves. And, boy, you're going to have to pay me to go to a Dead show. I've been to them. I've been to several Dead shows. I get drugged to them all the time. I'm just not. First of all, I'm not going to dance like that. And secondly, I'm not going to eat your lettuce and mustard sandwich.
Well, you know what Keith Richards always said? What a deadhead say when they run out of drugs? Man, this band sucks. All right, well, rock movies, there are a few more. All right, I want to come back to this at some point in the show because there's a few that are in the works that that will blow you away, honest to God. But, normally I'm like separation of church and state. There's rock bands and then there's movies, and never the twain shall meet, but occasionally they get it right. We'll see if any of these are going to get it right, but that's for a little later in the show because we have other business to take care of first.
Yeah, well, on the topic of movies, it is Movie Review Friday with Mike Evans at 6:30. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Friday, September the 22nd. Whoo, baby. It's Movie Review Friday, if I'm not mistaken. And that means we got to get on the horn with our own Mike Evans for the Hollywood Report. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Only 4 more days, and we have the Value Tuesday at Marcus Theaters.
Woo!
But you don't have to wait. You can go this weekend to Marcus Theaters. Any of the Marcus Theaters are all with those great lounge seats. Fabulous place to go see a movie. The only place to go see a movie in the Metroplex. I love Marcus Theaters. They're just the best.
Beautiful.
Okay, so it is Movie Review Friday, and this time we're really going to jump into movie reviews. And we start off with Expendables 4. All the promotion for this movie promised more noise, more violence, more explosions, more killing, more blood and guts than any other movie you've ever seen. And, Steve, they got it done.
Okay.
It's over the top, and believe me, is not going to be confused to being a Disney movie. Jason Statham, 50 Cent, Megan Fox, Andy Garcia, Sylvester Stallone, all-star in this nonstop chaos that also tries to be cute some places. The meanest mercenaries in the world and the deadliest weapons in the world get together, and you'll need a strong stomach. Might want to bring some earplugs, too. So here's the deal, Steve. What they set out to do, they did it right.
Okay.
But for me, just for me now,
sure,
just a little too violent and bloody for me. It's, again, horror movies and really bloody movies. But I'll say this. If you like that kind of movie, it's 4 stars. I mean, they did a hell of a job.
Well, let's talk about the subtext and the character development. No? Not so much?
Not so much.
Okay.
It's just blow 'em, shoot 'em up, blow 'em up.
So that the whole thing's not an allegory for, some other pressing issue facing us in the modern age.
Very lightly.
Okay. Just like to blow stuff
up. More about
up.
cutting people's throats and sawing people's heads off. And,
okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Tis the season.
Lots to be said for that.
Political film. Okay, got it.
So 4 stars, if you like that kind of movie. For me, I can only give it 1.5 stars. It's rated a very hard R, 100 minutes. But again, that's just me. If you like that thing, you're going to love it.
Beautiful.
Okay, next is Dumb Money, and it is a brilliant movie. Now, if you go back, think about a year and a half so ago, this is a true story about an average 9-to-5 Joe.
Schlupp.
Yeah, small child, trying to make ends meet, decides to dabble in the online stock market.
Yeah.
Our hero.
Saw the trailer, actually. This guy's Paul Dano?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw the trailer, and I thought that actually looks really good.
Yeah, it's a true story. Our hero puts up his very small life savings to get involved, and he starts screaming with a lot of enthusiasm about the mall game store, they're at every mall, called GameStop.
Right.
And all hell breaks loose. All of a sudden, the stocks explode, and everybody is buying. But then here comes the huge hedge fund bigwigs. Mm-hmm. And fortunes are made and fortunes are lost at the drop of a hat, and this whole thing really becomes, ironically enough, a GameStop. The movie stars Paul Dano is fabulous. Pete Davidson's in it. America Ferrera's in it. Seth Rogen is in it. Again, a true story. It's sort of like a 21st century financial David versus Goliath.
Fair enough. Okay.
Rated R, 100 minutes, 3.5 stars.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah.
3.5. All right. I like it.
Sports shorts, and Steve, a lot of people don't know Steve knows as much about sports as anybody. A lot of people are going to be watching the Deion Sanders Cinderella team, Colorado Buffaloes, this weekend. They won that double overtime last weekend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you know they didn't end until 2 o'clock in the morning Eastern time?
I'm aware of that.
They had 9.3 million viewers.
It was one of the highest rated shows in decades, games in decades.
It's unbelievable. But this week they're playing number 10 Oregon at Oregon. They're a 21-point dog.
Yeah.
But I think they'll cover.
I think they'll cover. There's not a chance they're going to win this game, but they will cover. And, I think that, we've got this great soap opera. How long is it going to last? How long will Deion stay? So I'm in for the duration as long as it's going on. They don't have to – no one expects them to run a table. There's not a chance they're going to win a national title, but they're going to be a damn fun team to watch all season.
Absolutely. You hit it right on the head. And I'm 7 for 8. My Friday football picks. These are my 4 picks this week. I like in college, I like Texas over Baylor. And in the pros, I like Miami, the Dallas Cowboys, and the Kansas City Chiefs. What do you think?
Well, let's see. Who I off the top of my head, I'm not sure who all those teams are playing. The Chiefs got the Chiefs have the Bears. That's going to be a practice.
Miami plays Denver.
Okay, done. Over. Yeah, good pick.
And Dallas plays Arizona.
Okay, don't stretch yourself too thin here, bro.
I do that.
You got 3 double-digit spreads, and you're picking winners. Come on.
Let's move on. I like winning, though,
I guess so.
And by the way, it's Aloha Friday. No work till Monday. We're going to play today, Aloha Friday. Have a great weekend, everybody. Be safe, and remember, Mili, Kalikabaka, Holy Baka, Hiki Holy Diokalani, Lani Ani Oli, Kela Cuckoo, and a cock and a hawk, and hooey, 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 ho.
Aloha.
There it is. Aloha. There it is. Every time you say aloha, I'm going to say there it is.
All right.
Just letting you know.
All right.
Fair
warning.
Hey, I got some great news
What?
for all of the. You ready for this? I don't think you are.
Aloha.
There it is. Candace, sit down. Candace, sit down. You're not going to be able to handle this.
Come on.
The kudos are coming. The kudos are coming, ladies and gentlemen. The University of Minnesota has introduced a new apple variety, and they're calling it the Kudo, as in Kudo. The Kudos, like its sibling Sweetango, the Kudo is a cross between a Honeycrisp, I love me a Honeycrisp apple, and a Zestar apple. This is the first time I've ever heard of a Zestar apple, and I wish I hadn't heard of it. That just sounds like that's like better living through what's that? Zestar sounds like an apple they'd be eating in the movie Brazil.
Right, it's in the future.
Yeah,
the Zestar's 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, exactly.
Zestar
Apple.
A Douglas Adams book, perhaps.
Have you got any more of those Zestar 2040 Z2P apples? But anyway, this is a new apple. It's no Honeycrisp, but a Zestar and a Honeycrisp, they loved each other very much, so they got together and they created a Kudo. They're said to be crisp and juicy with some tropical overtones.
All right, sold.
I'm going to have to really spend more time thinking about what my apples taste like.
Yeah.
Do I need a sommelier to explain it to me now?
You need to covet your apple.
What? Just swirl the apple in your hand. What does it smell like first? It smells like an apple to me.
Yeah.
But by the way, the Kudo trees have been distributed since 2022. They started, but we're not going to have any till 2026. So just pump the brakes, folks. We still got almost 3 years before we're going to taste the sweet Kudo apple. Thanks to the University of Minnesota.
I wonder if they'll ever. Cook up something that even competes with the Honeycrisp. For example, I love apples, but once you've had the Honeycrisp, once you've been to the top, to the zenith, to the peak, nothing else will do. I mean, a good sour green apple occasionally, even apple juice now. It has to be Honeycrisp apple juice.
We had
super easy to find.
We had a golden delicious tree in our yard in Kentucky, the Gorman household, and that bad boy got hit by lightning.
No.
And you would have thought, we'd lost a child. Losing those golden delicious apples was devastating for the whole family.
Apple trees are a pain in the ass. We had those growing up in our backyard.
Yeah, they just drop. Like they all drop.
And then they ferment and mush.
Right away they ferment.
I mean, there's a lot of yard work involved. Try walking across the yard.
Hated it
so much. And you can't eat them. We had an apple tree in our backyard when we lived over in St. Paul. I keep saying we. I lived alone there. Well, me and the snakes.
Sure.
Had a lot of snakes in that yard. But it wasn't treated, They didn't do the pesticide thing. So you couldn't eat the apples. Mm-hmm. And, you couldn't walk across the yard without turning an ankle. Thank goodness there was an oldster down the block. He's like, hey, you don't mind if I come and gather up all your apples and take them out and for the deer? We leave them for the deer in the trees.
Jeez.
I'm like, dude,
I used to take him and use a tennis racket. I'd smack it and whale them throughout the neighborhood.
That's sure.
I just did that this past weekend for the goats, but I used a rake. Because you got to like hook on and then you got to really shake and then they come tumbling down and the goats go crazy.
The goats like the apples, do they?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sweet little goats.
Yeah.
I hope nothing happens to them.
What the hell?
Oh, I don't know. Sorry. Did I say that out loud?
What the heck? All
right, let's look back. How about a history lesson?
Sports go sports.
Yeah. Music history.
Okay, Steve.
It froze.
Wow. I didn't freeze, though. I didn't freeze, though. Hey, sports and music history.
Froze up. What the heck?
On this day, it happens. On this day in 1993, Nolan Ryan pitched his last game. The great Nolan Ryan. He was 46, 8-time All-Star, won 1 World Series with the 69 Scrub Dog Mets. I'll never get over it.
Yeah.
11 times he led the league in strikeouts, 5,700 plus for a career, 7 no-hitters. The fact that his arm is still attached to his body remains a mystery to me.
I tell you what, I watched. There was a big documentary out about Nolan Ryan, and just called Nolan. Came out the last few years, and big fan. Watched it. One of the more boring documentaries I ever watched. It turns out there's nothing dramatic about this man's life. He didn't have 4 divorces. He
No.
wasn't an alcoholic.
No.
He didn't start on the wrong side of the tracks.
No.
He's just a great guy who is one of the greatest pitchers of all time. That's all.
Just got up every day and went to work and did his job the best he could. And who the hell wants to watch that? Not me.
Yeah, right.
You got that right.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show, Friday, September the 22nd. Good morning. Very happy to be with you this morning. In an hour from right now, Jeff Cesario is going to join us. He is at Acme next weekend. Old friend of mine, old friend of the show, old friend of Minnesota, old friend of Acme. Cesario is what is he? A treasure. Let's call him a treasure, shall we?
He is.
He's a Honeycrisp.
He really is. And then, by the way, at 9 o'clock, Jackie Kashian will join us. Another treasure, an Acme comedy legend. She'll be joining us in studio. And so, that's kind of exciting across the board. I like funny people. What can I say?
I didn't know she was coming in studio. I would have, showered.
It's
Gussied up a little
A
bit.
little.
She's gonna be just fine.
I'm a big fan.
See, there you go. That's all you need to say. That's a shower right there. Hey, I love your work. You just showered yourself in the eyes of the person you're talking to.
He stinks, though.
Yeah, but sometimes you can't pick and choose. You can't pick and choose who's gonna love your work. I've learned that myself.
Isn't that the truth?
Just leave it there. We were talking earlier about great rock movies, the crossing of church and state, because rock bands are fascinating. They're wonderful. There's nothing better than a rock gig, and almost always it gets lost in translation from reality to the silver screen. Bohemian Rhapsody grossed well over $1 billion. Everybody seemed to overlook a lot of factual inaccuracies. The band themselves didn't care. They were like, we're just trying to tell a good story. And, of course, Rami Malek was great as Freddie Mercury. I mean,
oh, yeah.
Hands down. Did he deserve the Oscar? Hell, I don't know. But was he great as Freddie? Yeah, he was fantastic. That makes a big difference. What do you think about the movie, another iconic rock film about a real-life guy, The Doors movie, Val Kilmer as Jim Morrison?
I loved
with
it.
30 years of hindsight. Are we good on it?
So he is amazing. I feel like he was born to play that role.
Okay.
There are parts of it that I don't like that are inaccurate, and I talked to Robbie Krieger about that, and he said, really? But he is amazing, and he just had so much praise for Val in that role, and really felt like it was great. But yeah, it's Oliver Stone, right?
Yeah, Oliver Stone.
So it's a little,
Indeed.
It's a little
made up.
Glorified. I don't know the right word.
He takes. There's some artistic license.
Yeah,
would be the term.
Well, and you talked about that in Bohemian Rhapsody as well. The Doors movie, I loved it. I thought Val Kilmer, who initially, when he was cast, I went, no, I love Val Kilmer, but he's at that time I didn't realize what an amazing actor he was and how much range he had. I thought he nailed it, did a great job. But then Ray Manzarek, for me, it was after that movie. So many interviews where he said Oliver Stone missed it huge. He had a chance to make a great movie about the Doors, and he just a big swing and a miss, and so that tainted it for me.
Well, I do know Val Kilmer. It's not like he hadn't played a rock icon before. Of course, you all remember when he was Nick Rivers in Top Secret.
Yes, of course.
Just as good as a movie about music can be.
Yeah.
Make no mistake about that. There's some upcoming biopics. There are movies in the works. We already mentioned Scorsese is doing a Grateful Dead film, and Jonah Hill is playing Jerry Garcia. I'm in. I will check it out. Here's another one. There is a film, apparently, that has been written by Carrie Brownstein. Now, she's in the band Slater-Kenny, but she was also on the show Portlandia, Fred Armisen's partner in Portlandia. She has written and plans to direct a movie about Heart, the Wilson sisters.
I'm intrigued.
It's about more like their childhood years as they are aspiring musicians, and eventually it shows them successful. But it's a big part of the backstory of the Wilson sisters, and written by a woman who's been through the ringer in the music business herself. I'll take a look. I don't. And again, I mean, if you got to cast it correctly.
Yeah.
But sure.
Knows a thing or two about that area where they grew up, and the Northwest, and even up into Canada. And I'm sure that'll all be part of the story.
I would imagine that would be the case. We have on the Maple Grove Lock and Safe Talk and text line 651-989-ROCK. You're free to share your thoughts. Tony, we have some text messages.
Yeah, there's some to add to the list. The Wall, The song remains the same.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
The Last Waltz, and of course, many are mentioning Almost Famous. Cameron Crowe's.
See,
I know you don't like it.
Hold Me Closer, Tiny Dancer.
Yeah.
I see it. I think that was a movie that I loved initially, and I went back as an older, more cynical person and thought, I'm not. I remember the second time I saw it, not digging it as much.
See,
Steve?
I have to go back because that was me the first time I saw it, and I was just like, oh gosh, stop. And my beef with Cameron Crowe. Listen to me, I have a beef with Cameron Crowe, but his movies, the Almost Famous, and then some other stuff he's done since. He's way too, like I said before, a band is a clown car. If you're not making fun of the art, you can love the art, but the artists are just ridiculous. And I think he's such a fan, he just gets so wrapped up in these guys are amazing. And even though Almost Famous kind of pokes fun at that, it was just way too sepia tone for me. I don't know. It was just too sweet and too, I don't know. And it kind of bugged me. And then it was also weird. That was at a time when Kate Hudson was in my life, or I was in her life. She was singing and then eventually married the singer in my band at that time. And Kate's wonderful. But the movie, all of a sudden, it's just like this constant theme of, oh, yeah, you got that movie star around. And we're all just going like, what? No, she's actually just a nice person. And it just added this weird tint to life in the band at that time, which was not her fault at all. But the whole idea of the movie, and she's a groupie in the movie, and then she's with our singer, it was just, I don't know. That time I look back and I'm like, everybody was making such a fuss over it. And I was like, is the movie really that great? I don't know. I just probably overthought every bit of it. So, like I said, I saw it in the theater. I saw the premiere. I've never seen it since. I should probably go back and check it out.
It's very sentimental.
Yeah, and you're looking at it through a very different lens. I mean, I can see it through your lens being a very different movie. For fans, of course, he made a movie as a fan for fans. And so I'm sure it resonates with a lot of people. But yeah, from the inside looking inside, I'm sure it had to be a very different movie. I mean, I think probably a lot of rock movies you do probably look at through a sort of a different lens, don't you? Do you like I always call them rockumentaries, because there is a difference between, obviously a huge difference between a biopic and a rockumentary, although they take artistic license with documentaries all the time. If the band has some editing, what do they call that? Editorial control over it, or whatever. Or if there's an agenda, say perhaps for the documentarian.
Sure.
But that's where I tend to. I like to go to those. But what about some other ones like American Graffiti? I see that shows up on the KQ Facebook page. Or here's an old school one. My mom loves this movie. It's up there with White Christmas and some of her other movies. A Star is Born, the original, Streisand and Christopherson. Mom that movie's on, and
that wasn't the original, though.
That was a remake.
You're right. The original was the old black and white.
It's been done like 5 times.
Just speaking to people that are alive right now. We'll do the seance thing later. But Streisand. That's right. I forgot. There's an old black and white. Whoever saw that. But Streisand and Christopherson. I did like the part where he drove the motorcycle up on stage. I thought that was cool. I would stick around, and then I would leave after that because it got kind of sappy.
Star is Born. I honestly don't know if I've ever seen it. I mean, I remember I was a kid when it came out. I never went back and watched it.
Chris Christopherson never looked more beautiful.
I've overlooked the most important rock movie of my life, which was A Hard Day's Night. Like when I first saw A Hard Day's Night, and this is at a time when I really didn't care for black and white content. I'll be honest with you. As a kid, I was like, that first season of Gilligan, no, give me the color. I don't do black and white. When I first watched Hard Day's Night, I just stared at the TV for 72 minutes going, I have to be in the Beatles now, I think. It was mind-boggling to me.
How about Yellow Submarine, just as a trip?
Just haven't seen it since I was a kid. I loved Help as well. I mean, I loved both those, but Help was it's just a silly film. Hard Day's Night, I just thought that was straight-up reality. And to a large extent it was, but a lot of it was just created. But that certainly set the tone. Here's a movie that gets a lot of love. Rock of Ages, the Tom Cruise doing like Def Leppard songs. I never saw it, but boy.
Never saw it. Oh.
What?
Boy, from 2012, people.
Tom Cruise? I don't remember this movie.
Yeah. Candace, are you familiar with this?
I never saw it either.
Wow.
Oh.
Look at us having some discernment around here.
Well, Rock of Ages. All right, our next movie night.
Another great movie that I will put on the rock list is High Fidelity.
Absolutely.
It's of course a record store movie.
Yeah.
It's a disgruntled, ennui-soaked early 30s movie, but I used to work at a used record store, and I like rock music, and I watched that movie as if it were a documentary. I was just like, I know every one of these people, and I have been on certain days all of these people myself.
Right, how influential music is and how it drives your life.
And the book is also just beyond reproach. The book's incredible. A really great job adapting that. And Candace's buddy Jack Black, one of the first, big breakout role for him as the sidekick in that. The grumpy used record store employee. I mean, I spent 2 years at a place in Atlanta that I still look at as my last real job, like working at Wax and Facts. If that's a real job, you've done something right. But the manager who I started there in 1988, the manager and the two owners, they're all still there. You can go in there, and they're all friends of mine. This guy, Sean, legendary. I mean, to this day, there are people in Atlanta who are like, man, I can't stand that Sean guy. Because he's just he's a grumpy indie record store dude. Yeah. Heart of gold. I lived in his house for a while. We're great friends. But he was just this intimidating bulldog character. You'd hear people come in, they go, do you have the new Depeche Mode? And he'd go, do I? No, of course not. But I mean, I can sell you a copy from the store. Like, he's just like that guy. It was always like, wow, fantastic. But anyway, all that to say, High Fidelities really captures so much of that world, but also, of course, that age, that time in life so perfectly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No.
I was going to say, a rock movie that I would love to see, but I don't know how you would do it in less than 3 hours, is about Fleetwood Mac. However, I did start watching Daisy Jones and the Six, which is a series. And Stevie Nicks did say at first she started watching it because people say it's kind of based on Fleetwood Mac.
Right.
And she started watching it at first. She said it wasn't right. This was wrong. But then at the end, when she finished it, she said it really did capture what was going on at that time in the beginning of Fleetwood Mac. So I'm excited to keep watching.
Wow. I've heard mixed reviews myself about that one, but I'll take your recommendation on that. To your point a minute ago, Zep, I do struggle with this stuff because it's like I want to just love stuff as a fan, but it's like I also, as I mentioned the other day, I go to gigs now. I've kind of been reborn. Like, I actually appreciate going to a show just like a fan again. It's not nearly as inside baseball for me. I can just take it in and appreciate it, how much I care about music, and the rest doesn't bother me anymore. So maybe I got to give some of this stuff another look.
Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, with a new perspective. Did you guys ever see a movie, FM?
Oh, God,
yeah.
Oh,
definitely.
Okay. So I just see here that Chris Webb, high five buddy, brought up FM, not the most critically acclaimed movie, certainly not. And in fact, he has a DVD. Chris, we should get together and beer about it because I cannot find that. That's a hard movie to find, FM, out there. But it was our high school senior movie. Every year, the high school seniors got to vote on something, and it was a high school senior movie, and we all voted, and we thought, FM, whatever. And, Hart makes a cameo in it. You've got
great
the Eagles
soundtrack,
making a cameo, Linda Ronstadt those years with Linda and the Eagles, and a great soundtrack, and, of course, the whole FM radio thing. But that was our last senior high school movie. After it was over, they canceled it. The teachers were so disgusted, which, made it immortal in my eyes. Then, of course.
Early days of cable, when HBO had like 9 movies they could show, that was always one of them. Or there was another movie channel, not HBO, and it wasn't Showtime. It was called Spotlight.
Yeah.
And Spotlight played FM like 4 times a day for a while.
Right.
Just turn it on.
How about Eddie and the Cruisers?
Yeah, I don't
entertaining.
I saw it in real time, but I was like in college. I just don't remember it. It had that one big hit song, the Beaver Brown Band or something.
Yeah, right. On the dark side.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Jonathan weighs in with the Blues Brothers. I think that qualifies.
Sure it does.
I mean,
sure
you're talking rock music, but I mean that's all comes from the same place, right?
Well, very few tours have ever done as much cocaine on a daily basis as the shooting of the Blues Brothers.
Come on, man.
So they got that going for them.
They're on a mission from God.
There is a Joey Ramone film in the works. It's called I Slept with Joey Ramone, and it's based on a book of the same name written by Joey Ramone's brother. It's like about them being kids and sharing a bed.
Oh,
It's a great title.
Pete Davidson has apparently been cast to play Joey Ramone. And
That
before
works.
you freak out, I think it totally works.
I think it totally works. I can see it. You can obviously dye the hair, and
Yeah.
I can see him being a Ramone.
I can see him
I mean,
really
he's
putting if he's got anything to offer for real, that's going to be that's it. That's the litmus test.
I mean, he's almost a little too pretty kind of thing. It's like Timothy Chalamet playing Paul Westerberg, but why not? It's Hollywood.
As long as we're here, I'll tell you something real quick. In the fall of '94, the Black Rose, we did a bunch of club shows ahead of the release of our third album, and we rolled into New York City and played CBGB one night, which is tiny. It's a hole-in-the-wall, legendary club, of course. And we are at CBGB, and Dave Grohl came down, and he walks into the little side area outside, which is the de facto dressing room. And Grohl comes walking up. I'm like, hey, dude. He's like, hey, dude. And he is with Joey Ramone. And I go, this is your date? And he goes, yeah. I go, okay, well, you win. And Joey, hey, man, good to meet you. And I was like, I just had a quick exchange with Joey Ramone. And I looked at Dave, and I go, how do you know Joey Ramone? And he goes, I was in Nirvana.
Yeah, right. We got to meet
I was like, oh, yeah, right, of course.
Right.
Oh, that's right. You're the biggest punk band that ever lived. And, of course, so, yeah, that would happen. And we all, but the whole band, we looked and we were like, we're at CBGB and Joey Ramone's here. And it was like, can we even, I mean, it freaked us all out so much. It was just one of those quick moments where you had to go like, and get your head straight. Like, okay, back to business.
Right.
But, man, boy, the Ramones meant a lot.
Yeah, a lot. Right there, and seeing him right in that place, in the temple, as it were.
Oh, sure. Candace, do we have a call?
Paul from Buffalo.
Paul, good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
What do you got for us, brother?
I went out of my way to get a copy of Rainbow Bridge, the Jimi Hendrix movie.
Oh, right
yeah,
on.
Yeah, saw it.
And that, I liked the concert movie. Then I went and got the album,
Yeah.
I think they repackaged it under something else, but that was an awesome movie.
I've seen it.
Because
I had like a bootleg version someone showed me years ago. It's the Hawaii gig, right?
Right, and because when I saw it, or when it came to my attention, I had no idea that happened. I didn't know there was a Hawaii gig. I didn't know that there was something like that happened. So I watched it, devoured it, and went, what the hell? Where else would you rather be on planet Earth? That might be one of my, if you could transport five, they give you 5 different places you could transport to in time.
Yeah.
I might go check out that gig. And he played his ass
And
off,
the movie's
too.
weird. There's not a ton of footage of him playing. It's not the whole point of the film. There's
Right.
actually like a whole plot of like
Oh, it was a disaster.
cult.
It was pretty awesome playing on, by a volcano.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
right. That's right. Hey, we got a hot brother. I'm sorry, but appreciate you listening, and thank you for the
That's
call.
okay. I'm on the road driving north.
Attaboy.
All
Be
right,
safe.
it's Friday. Heading north on a Friday. Nothing gets more Minnesotan than that. Right now on the Maple Grove Lock and Safe Talk and Text line, callers 9 and 2, please, for a chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to the Dead End Hayride. The season is here. Fall starts tomorrow. That opens up today. The Dead End Hayride opening today in Wyoming. Prize provided by the Dead End Hayride. 651-989-ROCK. Dial up. Good luck. Hang tight.
That's great.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Friday, September the 22nd, which means the Dead End Hayride is kicking off today up in Wyoming.
Ooh.
And we at the KQ Morning Show have a 4-pack of tickets to give away right now. We're going to play a game. We're going to put a couple of listeners through the ringer. Tony, today's game, please, sir.
Don't be intimidated. It's good, clean fun.
Always be closing. Always be closing.
What are you selling?
Okay, what are you selling?
That was my sales pitch.
Really? That's your sales pitch?
So this is your sales pitch?
Here's the pitch.
Yeah, we're going to test your powers of persuasion, your sales skills.
Nice.
We're going to give you something, a concept, an idea, some kind of thing, anything at all, and you have to sell us on it, the 4 of us, the benefits, the unique selling proposition.
I like
Why it's a good thing, kind of like Shark Tank. We'll give you 30 seconds, and we'll vote on your pitches. Good luck to you all.
Wrong. All right, let's see who we got. Candace, who's contestant number 1?
We have Jack from Hugo.
Jack, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Steve.
How are you, brother?
Doing great. Just finished your book. Loved it.
Oh, man. Hard to Handle the Life and Death of the Black Crows, available everywhere. Thanks, man.
It's amazing.
That's great.
Absolutely fascinating.
Wait, was that
Great
the
read.
pitch?
Thank you. That was the pitch. You win, Jack. Books for everybody.
Please buy it. After I return it to the Washington County Library.
Oh, just keep it.
You know
I
what?
thought about
It's no. Hang on to it. I'll pay the overdraft fees, the late fees. They're on me. All right, Jack. So you know what we're doing here. Tony's going to give you a product or a concept or an idea, and you have 30 seconds to sell us on that very thing. Are you ready?
I am ready.
And the answer is not band dysfunction. All right, Tony, go ahead.
All right, my good man, your first one. In the English language, which vowel should be eliminated and why?
Here's the pitch.
Go ahead, 30 seconds.
Go.
I think the vowel E should be eliminated. It's often mispronounced. It was dreamt up by somebody who knew Webster. Not really part of the vowel family. Don't think we need it. E.E. Cummings always used small casing when noveling. Just a waste of a vowel.
Wow.
We don't need it.
This is what happens when you get someone who reads books on the radio.
Dreamt up by someone who knew Webster.
Amazing.
Wow.
That is a strong point you just made right there, Jack. Well done, sir.
Wow.
Thank you.
Man,
He sounds sober.
that's great. I will say just a quick note. You know, Jack said he just read my book. I've heard myself say several times, I don't think there's a book that's ever gotten more. I don't normally read, but I liked yours. So if I get actual readers on board, this thing's great. This is great news. Jack, well done, sir. Very well played. Now, correct me, Tony. Does everybody get 2 pitches? Or
Yes.
just, okay,
everyone
that's what
gets
I thought.
2.
So we're going to go to caller number 2 now. Jack, sit tight. We're going to caller number 2 for their first pitch. Candace, who is caller number 2?
Monty from Woodbury.
Monty, good morning.
Hey, how's it going?
All is well on this end. Are you ready to pitch us, my friend?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Look at Monty. He's got that 1,000-yard stare. He's ready for game time.
All right, Monty, we're going to ask you why soup should be the new form of monetary exchange, why we should replace money with soup.
Here's the pitch.
30 seconds.
Well, the reason I think you should replace money with soup is I think trading has more value than just trading a piece of paper, and you can do something when you get soup. You can eat it. You can use the can for things afterwards.
I like it.
It has nutritional value.
There you go.
Money doesn't necessarily have that.
Nice.
All right.
Good
He's
job.
got a
Good
point.
job.
He's got a point. My nephew used to play in a band, and the band's name was Money Could Not Be Eaten. So, I mean, there you have it.
Yeah, debate that.
It's an old Native American saying.
Hard to snort cocaine with soup, though.
All right, that's true. That's true. Monty, well played, sir. You're definitely we are in the races now, ladies and gentlemen.
Damn.
It's time for lap number 2. We're going to go back to Jack for your second and final pitch. Jack, are you with us?
Yes, sir. Ready.
Attaboy.
All right, Jack, in addition to keys and a phone, why everyone should always carry a tambourine? 30 seconds.
Here's the pitch.
Well, you should carry a tambourine because if it happens to be green, you can sit out on the sidewalk and do show tunes and collect some coin. Tambourine, essential part of any great song. That's the secret sauce. It comes in on the break. It comes in here and there. It's just great to have. You can carry it.
Oh, yeah.
You can make friends.
Yeah.
And form strong relationships with a tambourine. Simple percussion instrument. Love it. Use it all the time. Have one now.
I have one now.
Smooth.
Well done, Jack.
Are you a tambourine salesman, Jack? That seemed a little too natural, I think.
I tell you what.
They come in handy. I'm a musician, and you got to have one or two.
I tell you what, man, think about all the awkward moments in your life that would be made better if you were just, as the conversation's happening, you were just going, I mean, yeah, that's fantastic.
Tambourine, you're welcome most places.
That's a very good point. But remember, keep the kazoo in your pocket. All right. Jack, well played, sir. We're going to go back to Monty for his second lap on the track. Monty, are you still with us?
Yep.
All right, attaboy. Here we go. Round 2, brother.
All right, Monty, sell us on why we should do away with the moving sidewalks in airports and instead pay for people to pick us up and carry us to the gate. 30 seconds.
Here's the pitch.
Well, the first reason I would say is it creates jobs for people.
Yeah, boy.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of having everyone just lazily stand around.
Mm-hmm.
They promote laziness, so we should. Oh man, you're losing me here. Dang it!
No, come on, man. Job creations. That's great.
It's more time for escalators to get used.
All right. Monty, you started strong on that one.
Yeah.
Creating jobs for the people. You can't go wrong with that one. That's always a campaign winner. All right. Well played, gentlemen, both of you. Let's do a quick lap around our own track, voting-wise. Zepp, go first, brother. Who do you think?
I'm gonna have to give this one to Jack. Thank you, Monty. I loved it, but Jack wins for me.
Tony?
Yeah, Jack just had a sense of calm and made perfect sense in my mind.
It makes perfect sense to me. Candace?
Both gentlemen did amazing, but I have actually been thinking about getting a tambourine. I've been on the fence, and I feel like I really need one now.
Go for it.
All right, fair
Jack
enough.
wins.
That's 3 votes for Jack. I'm going to go ahead and throw one to Monty just to be a nice guy because I can't stand a unanimous vote. But Jack did win the game. Jack, well done, sir. You've got a 4-pack of tickets to the Dead End Hayride. Monty, you have our eternal thanks for both listening and phoning in and competing. Gentlemen, what a fine job on both ends. Thank you.
That was a close head-to-head.
That was really good stuff.
It was so many years ago. I'm not going to try and track it down on my phone. I did there for a moment. It'll drive me crazy because it was texted to me, audio of a buddy over in St. Paul at one of our music venues, small music venues. He's like, listen to the band I'm listening to anyway, and they're playing a song, and it's you can hear the song, and it's a cover tune. It's recognizable. And all of a sudden, you hear a big tambourine crash. You can hear it. You hear the music. Ching!
Yeah.
It just really stands out. I said, what the hell was that? He said, that was a drunk staggering up to the stage and the lead singer coming down, a young lady with her tambourine and belting him upside the head.
Wow.
Isn't that great? Just
nice.
Bang! So also a home security, a self-security device. Self-defense device. There
I can tell you what, man, you'd be amazed at how well a tambourine can cut through any sound on earth. Anytime a person would have a tambourine in the crowd, we'd have to ask them to stop it. Because literally on stage, giant amps. Well, there was one woman in Detroit, and over the years, multiple times we would look, our singer he'd say, hey, come on, stop. And then a couple times he had to say, hey, ma'am, please stop with the tambourine. And it's not just for the quiet moments. I mean, when someone's shaking people who travel with tambourines generally have no sense of time. That's the problem with tambourines.
Yeah, why are you allowed to bring one into a show?
It's Detroit, man. They're just glad that's all it is. But there would be a moment when there's like a break on a song, like the song "She Talks to Angels." It starts as just a long guitar vocal break. Mm-hmm. It's a solid minute and a half before the drums kick in. It's real quiet, and so you'd hear the song start, and then there'd just be one person like ching, 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 just shaking a tambourine with no discernible rhythm whatsoever. And everyone on stage is immediately looking back at me to the hi-hat, like keep time, keep time. It'll throw you off like
sure.
It's a stone in your shoe that's unimaginable.
I'm sure they weren't loving it down in the audience either.
No, God, no, of course not. It's like, what's happening here? And by the way, for the record, I got to give a man credit. You say, which vowel is no longer necessary? And he goes to not only the most common vowel, the single most used letter in the English language is E.
And went
he
to
went
it immediately.
straight to it. Like, we got to get rid of E. Uh-huh. He threw out the friend of Webster and E.E. Cummings. I love that.
I know. And by the time he was done, I thought, I'm going to quit. When I'm texting, I'm no longer using the vowel E.
Get rid of it.
Just deleting it from my keyboard.
Oh, hey, you know what? Before we hop, I would like to take a moment, if it's okay with you guys, to remind everybody that we're going up north, ladies and gentlemen. KQ Up North with BigDeck.com. It's just a few weeks away. October 5th through the 8th, we're all going to be at Cragun's Resort on Gull Lake. Last chance for most of us to take in the peak fall colors up north. And plus, you can join. I know me and Zepp are going to be swinging. We'll be out on the links. Maybe we'll get Tony and Candace out there as well. Play on either of Cragen's legacy courses, the Layman 18 and Dutches. You can take part in the karaoke party. There's a happy hour boat cruise. There will be a live broadcast of this very show, the KQ Morning Show. Join us, won't you? Book your trip at 92kqrs.com. This is sponsored by our friends at bigdeck.com and Cragen's Resort on Gull Lake.
And maybe the most amazing, certainly funnest resort I've been to up north, and that's saying something, in Minnesota. Jeff Cesario, our good buddy, professional comedian, big shot, joining us here at 8 o'clock. Hang tight.
What?
Yeah.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. That was Paul McCartney and Wings, Live and Let Die, which I believe was the first Bond film featuring Roger Moore.
Yes, I believe you're right.
I think it was. Also, the first James Bond film I remember watching in its entirety and just being completely freaked out by all the voodoo stuff.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they did the whole Jamaica voodoo thing.
Yeah, it got pretty thick out there. But then, of course, the boat chase fixed all that. It just got me excited again to be alive. That's how that goes. Hey, guess what? Our buddy Jeff Cesario is going to be at Acme next weekend. And Jeff Cesario is on the horn with us right now. And by God, it's early in California. Good morning, brother.
Wow. Speaking of live and let die, my God. It's dark out, okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But you know what? A comedy man's, your work is never done.
No, and let me just say the Hispanic gardeners aren't even up yet.
Dude, watch it.
All right,
you are
still they're at the gas station loading up the leaf blower with some gas. And I'm here working, ladies and gentlemen.
September 29th and 30th, you'll be working here in the Twin Cities at Acme, a place you're very familiar with. Hey, Jeff, let's dive into it. You got some work done last night. Correct me if I'm wrong. You were an entrant in the Burbank International Film Festival. Is that not true?
That is correct, and it is as magical as it sounds.
The Burbank, is that in the IKEA parking lot over there in Burbank? Where do they hold this event?
It's honestly in the Burbank AMC 13.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Not far away.
And the popcorn isn't even free for filmmakers. It's pretty rough. But no, it was fun, man. We did a thing called the Dick Rossi Show. I don't know if anybody may have seen some of the clips on Funny or Die. If that thing still exists, they're still out there. We did a pilot for a show about a sleazy sort of Vegas comic talk show host back in the 50s and 60s who did everything Carson and Letterman did. He did it first, and he did it worse. And we took a wrong turn at every possible place. Dick does ridiculous jokes about everything. He has a magician on who tries to escape from a tank of water and dies. He has a monkey on who gets irritated. Dick gets irritated with him because he's instead of, you remember when Carson played with the monkey was on his head?
Sure.
Dick just grabs the monkey, throws him against the wall, kills him, and hands to all the animal rights people. So
I've seen some Dick Rossi clips, and my first question is: are those real cigarettes? And how many hundreds did you smoke a day?
Yeah, we smoked about maybe 10 cartons a shoot, and then the second one we did 2 shoots. In the second shoot, we tried to back off of the clove cigarettes,
Oh gosh, yeah.
And then the whole thing just smelled like a bad French pastry place. It was horrible. But we kept smoking, and Dick. The thing with Dick is he has current contemporary guests. Like we had Jimmy Kimmel, we had Aisha Tyler, we had Chris McDonald, who was Shooter McGavin. We had guests like that. We had Bill Burr, and then we racked our brains to try to think of a way to. Well, how do we justify? We shot it literally in black and white.
Yeah.
How do we justify a guy who's clearly from another era interviewing people from now? And we had, the studio is on an old atomic testing site. We had, we tried to justify time travel, and then we showed it to people. Nobody ever brought it up.
Right. That's hilarious.
So we just said, oh, great. So we don't have to do it. So the thing got very close. We almost were on FX, and we were up against a thing called Testes by the two guys who did South Park. And, they're geniuses. They're hilarious.
Yeah.
And so they had a pilot up. So we're up against them, and they choose that pilot, and it doesn't go anywhere. But years later, we're like, well, why don't we cobble it together and see if we can't, I don't know, maybe do like a lost episode of the Dick Rossi Show. So that's exactly what we did. The only acknowledgement we made was at the beginning and in the middle. We had one of those like cards that come up that just say, this is a show in and of its time. Please watch it, like that. So that we can get away with all this crap that we do. We have a drink cart gal. This is hilarious. Her name is Irina Voronina. She's like a Russian model.
Yeah.
And we're shooting. She's incredibly attractive, hugely buxom. We realized the day of the shoot, this is how on the cheap we were shooting this. We go, oh, God, we don't have a Playboy bunny costume for Irina. So we send a production assistant out to go to the Party City and get a Playboy costume for her. Right. She comes back. Irina tries on the costume. She goes, it fits perfectly. She looks down at the costume. She goes, oh, I was the one who modeled for that. So it's her picture on the costume for the costume.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah. Unbelievable. So we get to the Burbank Film Festival last night.
Oh, wait, Jeff. Hey, Jeff, let me cut you off. Two things I have to mention here. First of all, in case you're just joining us, Jeff Cesario on the horn. The Dick Rossi Show Lost episode played at the Burbank International Film Festival. And before we hear about the reaction to this completely incorrect show, you haven't mentioned to our listeners the name of the house band on the Dick Rossi television show.
Yes, it's Spats Henderson and his big-breasted all-girl orchestra.
Yeah, okay, just wanted to make sure we got that out there.
And as a nod to the musicians and that level of humor, they also had bandstands that said Spats Henderson and his BB AGO. Big-breasted all-girl. So it's like
insane.
And Adam Felber, who wrote for Bill Maher forever and was on Wait, Don't Tell Me, and he's hilarious. He was Spats Henderson, and Joe Fury, who was on Letterman forever. He was my sidekick, Tad Manchester, who was he was like a B movie actor. He wasn't a sidekick. He just hung out for the booze. And he was in movies like Guns on a Ship, stuff like that.
Guns on a Ship.
That was the kind of movies he did. So we tested, and I know in the interim 8 to 10 years since the last time we worked on this thing, the politics of creativity have changed dramatically.
Sure.
So we go in the back row of our screening, and it's pretty full. And, there's 5 other movies in the screening. They're all shorts. They're all anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. Ours is 20. So we get there, and it's pretty much like a comedy club runs now on open mic nights. Bring as many friends as you can.
Sure.
And that's who wins the popularity contest. So we have just the 6 of us. It's me and Joe and Adam, and their 2 wives come. So there's like 5 of us in this back row. And they start the thing. They start our movie, the Dick Rossi, and we just launch in. There's the title to the Dick Rossi Show, and we come prancing out on screen. And I start with a joke where it's literally I went to Hef's, and I'm waiting to go to into the hot tub at the Playboy Mansion. And there's this sign that says you have to be this big to get into the hot tub. And I hold my hands about 8 inches apart. That's it. That's the big. And then I wait about 10 seconds and I go, so I'm in the hot tub. And so, we're doing jokes like that.
Oh, my gosh.
And you can just see this crowd. It's like we set up folding chairs on the back end of the launch runway at Burbank Airport. People's skin is just blasted back. They're like, oh, my God. And then they see Irina, the drink cart gal, who just goes over to him. And even Jimmy Kimmel's like, yeah, I'd like to get a little something from Irina.
Yeah.
So they're laughing in spite of themselves, and then by the time the magician dies, they're like laughing. But it was one of the most incredible evenings. I just thought, I've never been involved in anything where I thought, okay, this is just going to tank. And then wanted to be there to see it. But it was fantastic. It was really something else. We did the red carpet. Here's how the whole evening went. They have an interviewer on the red carpet in-house for the Burbank International Film Festival. And she says to us, we get out, there's lights on, it's an actual red carpet. She goes, I saw the Dick Rossi show. And then she said this, which I've never heard in any creative endeavor ever. She goes, I'm curious. That was her response. I'm curious. I thought, no one's ever said that when it comes to humor, lady. I'm curious. Oh my God! It was just a fantastic from start to finish. So we found a bar immediately after and just drank ourselves silly. It was wonderful.
Attaboy.
So is this available to us out here in the general public? Where do we find this thing?
It should be.
Yeah?
I don't know if I have a clip on my YouTube channel or not, but you know what?
Right.
Just Google the hell out of it. I'm pretty sure Funny or Die's archives are still around.
It's
and
still
you can
up there.
find several clips from that.
You can find Dick Rossi on YouTube. I check him out at least once a year. I find myself, you're going down the rabbit hole of things, and I'm like, oh, and you click on that, and I will sit and watch the 20-minute one every time. It's just I know every joke. I've seen it 50 times, and it still works for me. There are very few.
He looks over at he has Jimmy Kimmel on, and about 2 minutes in, he goes, excuse me, hang on one second, are you a talk show host? And Kimmel goes, yeah. And then Dick goes, who the hell booked a talk show host on a talk show? My notes say that he's a grocer. He plays a grocer in a sitcom. What kind of research steps? So everything that could possibly go wrong, it goes wrong with Dick.
Well, it's not every day you hear somebody referencing their thing. Like a minute ago, you said, and by the time the magician dies, and that alone, it's like that's the promo for the Dick Rossi show. By the time the magician dies.
Yeah, it's pretty insane stuff.
It's fantastic. Jeff, you're going to be at Acme next weekend for a couple of nights. Do you have now? Is you're going to be here? You're going to be putting on a couple nights of great comedy. Do you do a bit of just the insane? You've been in Hollywood for a long time, been writing, you've been on all these projects. Do you have some more recent, you won't believe this nonsense? Because every Hollywood story is sillier than the one before it, generally speaking.
Yeah, I can't because it's too heartbreaking, Steve. It would be one of those Lenny Bruce sets where people are there for 4 hours listening to me bitch about my career. So I can't do it because I have the stories to fill that time.
Yeah.
I mean, I lost a probably $1 million film deal because of the last Writers Guild strike. I remember I was executive producing. This is after I'd won 2 Emmys. I'm executive producing a thing for HBO Animation. It's one of those collective shows. There's like 8 animators on it. People you've heard of, people you haven't heard of, cartoons, crazy cartoons, weird adult cartoons. We're putting this whole thing together. It's amazing. I go up to work literally the day before we're supposed to premiere, and the HBO Animation offices are cleared out. It looks like something from Glengarry Glen Ross. There is nothing there. There's 3 clipped phone lines. And I go, what the hell happened? And literally a janitor's like, oh, they went out of business. And I'm like, what? And nobody called me to at least tell me don't come into work. So you can see how an evening like that would go.
Yeah, I could totally see that. Well, then, I mean, what So okay, let's leave that to the side. How you like your Badgers so far? 2-1, I believe.
I have this same set of emotions. Someone has during a shotgun wedding. You really don't want to look. You don't really want to be there, but you have to. I have to root for them at this point. I'm sorry, we're 3 games in. They don't look like a good football team. I got to be honest. They just don't look like a good football team. So we'll see how they do tonight. They play Purdue tonight. on a weekend when Colorado and Oregon will pull 11 million people.
Yeah, right.
Me and 33 others will be watching Wisconsin against Purdue. But I'll have some buddies over. I have a friend who just bought a Porsche. And I just found out from him that they just give you a beard trimmer with it. That's pretty nice.
That checks out. That makes perfect sense to me. Jeff Cesario at Acme next weekend, Friday and Saturday. Looking very forward to having you. And of course, Chet Waterhouse will be joining you on stage at Acme, I'm assuming.
Yes, I'll probably pop a few things out. And, hey, I'll drop in next Friday morning. I'll bring Chet. We'll do a whole update, and we'll have some fun.
Great.
Oh, listen to you. That'll be great. We look forward to it, brother.
That'll at least be at a more civil hour.
That's right. Yeah, Central Time, God's time zone. That's what the Gorman family always called it.
Exactly. All right, guys.
Safe travels. We'll see you next week, brother.
Thanks, man. See you guys.
Jeff Cesario, I got to tell you, the Dick Rossi, ROSSI, the Dick Rossi Show. Just find that on YouTube.
Yeah,
that stuff is and it's going back a few years. They were actually shooting them, and back then it was like by design, like let's be as offensive as possible.
Yeah.
In 2023, it's just scandalously funny.
Great. Yeah, I'd love it even more.
I can totally see a room full of people at the Burbank Film Festival, like he said, like, what am I watching?
That's where I want to watch it, because you get double the entertainment. You're sitting in entertainment. It's surrounding you, and you're watching it up on the scring.
It's just fantastic.
That is fantastic. There's this new fashion trend. I know we have a comedian coming up here at we're going to be talking with
Jackie Kashian.
Thank you. Gosh, I just totally blanked there. But there's a new fashion trend that women are involved with that has got me scratching my head. It's just blowing my mind. It involves fake. Well, you know what? We'll tell you about it at 8:30. Hang tight.
Let's talk about chicks, man.
Yeah,
Chicks, man.
For sure.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. In 30 minutes, Jackie Kashian is going to be joining us. She's at Acme this weekend. Very, very funny lady. Will be in studio. So I know the rest of the KQ Morning Show. We're looking very forward to that. Let's talk soccer for a quick minute. Lionel Messi, we all know who he is, right?
You bet.
The Argentinian superstar, arguably the greatest player in the history of the sport that more people play on earth than any other. He now plays for Miami. He's a little fella, okay? He's like 5'7" in a pair of heels. And famously left Argentina at the age of 12 to go to Barcelona, and the Barcelona Football Club, signed him up into their youth academy, and most importantly, paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for him to get medical treatments to help him to grow taller. He was he's not a big guy now, and that's after they did all kinds of treatments to get him to grow to the maximum he could be. Without this, he was going to be 5'1", maybe 5'2". He's now 5'6", 5'7", but that's a big difference in the world of international soccer, as you might imagine. My point is the guy endured a lot of really difficult treatments, medical procedures in order to get as much length out of those legs as they could possibly get. I'd say it was more than worth it, as he became the greatest player ever. What Lionel Messi didn't realize is all he had to do was just get a fake belly button.
That's it.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
It's the new trend.
Yeah.
It's the new trend. A lot of women in China, and now it's crossed the Pacific, because you can go to Walmart.com and order these yourselves.
Yeah.
Women are adding a fake belly button a few inches above their real one. They're not carving or cutting in a new one. It's basically it looks like an iron-on sticker patch, but it's just a sticker you place on your abdomen above your actual belly button, and it looks like a real belly button. If you leave your stomach exposed but then cover the real one, it creates an optical illusion that you have longer legs than you really do.
Couldn't you just pull your pants up higher?
There's that
that's what
also.
You have to do that to cover up the other belly button.
Pull the pants up to cover the other belly button, but then just seeing a navel that's not your God-given navel, but one that's a little higher up there. Apparently, it's not your God-given navel; it's your Chairman Mao-given navel. That it makes you look like you have longer legs. And here's the weird thing: if you look at the photos online, there are like little examples. It does kind of work. It does give you this illusion. You just assume that a gal's legs are longer than they are.
I'm in. I got short little legs, but I guess I would have to stand straight because once I start walking, I'm gonna give it away.
Wait, what? What happens when you walk?
You'll trip.
You just can tell that I have short legs when I walk.
see.
I
It's
kind of
like
will
she's
waddle.
dancing, but she's not. That's that old Chuck Berry song. What was that? Oh, the way you walk, you look like a dancing, but you're not.
There are sheets of these temporary belly button tattoos. You can reapply them once they wear off. You can get a bunch. Candace, are you interested in some? We'll all pitch in. The rest. We'll hook this up for you.
Not all of us.
I mean, I've been a little self-conscious about my legs for a while. 'Cause
Really?
They are real short.
You want some longer gams,
Yeah.
baby?
Maybe get that. Put it right up there, like where your solar plexus is. Get it way up there, or maybe up, between your collarbones. Put the belly button up there.
It just seems like another place to store stuff. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with this at all.
No, it's like wearing high heels, right? It's just it lifts and creates an illusion of beauty.
It's an illusion that could eventually backfire if somebody is if there's a guy out there who's just really into navels and longer legs and then discovers that it's all just a front. I mean, I don't know if it goes. I don't know if this is a false equivalence, but I remember as a kid coming up in the day, there was conversations about which girls in class do you think stuff. She stuffs.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
She stuffs.
Yeah.
Stuffing that bra. And then you think, well, I mean, it's got to backfire on you eventually, but maybe not.
Yeah, right. Well, that's what the light switch is for, I guess. I don't know, but you're right. Because now I'm looking at a photo of one of these, but she has her, I guess her leggings pulled down so you can see both belly buttons to illustrate what's going on there. That's high. Hers is like halfway between her actual belly button and her, areolas. So, I mean, that just seems really high. Say, heck it up. Okay, I want to, all right. It looks like it looks. Ladies, here's the other thing might want to keep in mind is you don't have to work this hard. You could literally wear one of those sumo wrestler fat suits, and we're very interested. So just keep that in mind as well.
It's an important public service announcement.
Yeah.
But we just spoke to Jeff Cesario. He used to do a thing in his show where he would say, all that work the gals do, you do it for each other. He goes, I remember a woman said, oh, I had to get my eyebrows plucked. And he goes, it was the first time I ever noticed she had eyebrows. He's like, trust me, we're not paying attention, ladies.
I think it'd be fun to just stick it on your forehead just to get reactions.
Of course it would. That's exactly what it is.
There's nothing wrong with this, and it can't get dirty. God, my belly button was so dirty when I got home from the Renaissance Festival. It was like caked on dirt.
Little tomato growing out of there.
They say if you put a watermelon seed in Candace's navel,
well, that's doing the Renaissance Festival right.
Yep.
Getting dirty.
Caked with, but was there like turkey juice from that giant turkey leg as well? I mean, what are we talking about here?
That's where she keeps the turkey leg.
Yeah, things get in there.
Yeah.
It's dirty there.
You look in your belly button and go, huzzah!
Everybody has those moments when you do it's almost like the equivalent of a dryer lint pay. I'll sometimes just put my finger in my belly button and go, what is this?
Yeah.
How did what's happening? Is there like a vacuum attachment I'm unaware of that's just sucking in all this stuff from the air? But you can go get that thing cleaned out. They have belly button spas now, and you go and they just they dress it up. Well, actually, that's probably not true. But speaking of spas, check this out. A psychic in California claims that she's spoken with numerous people who have left the physical world, as in they're dead. And she knows exactly where we go and what happens to us. Her name is Emily Dexter. She's 31. She has been a psychic since she was 8. And she says, quote, when we pass, we go to what I lovingly call a spiritual day spa. We hang out with our dead loved ones for a week or two, then head there, where we basically cope and heal with all the difficulties we had while we're human. And then when we're done with the day spa, again, our spirit passes into this day spa for a while, then we continue on our path. Usually includes popping back in to check on loved ones or guiding them when they pass, or simply rejoining our higher self.
What's the spa part?
She says it's a day spa where you cope and heal from the difficulties you had in the physical world. That part. It's not so much mani-pedi, but more like, man, that guy was a pain in my assy. Type of that kind of thing.
Got it. No waxing.
And you heal from that.
Nothing like that.
Growing up Catholic, I can tell you, it's called purgatory. That's what we were told. You're just going to go to a way station for a while, and you're going to wait there on your way to heaven, depending on what the ledger says. What's the permanent record say? How many sins are on your docket? Could be 150 years, could be 1,000, could be a couple days. You never know.
I saw Beetlejuice. I know how this works.
Okay.
Beetlejuice.
Don't you can't. Are you out of your mind?
My God, you just saw the play and you did that?
I mean, did you see the movie? Who wouldn't want to invite him to a party?
Yeah,
He'd say it
he's
in a heartbeat, right?
And the guy who plays him in the Broadway at the Ordway right now is hot as hell.
Hotter than Michael Keaton?
Who's Michael Keaton?
Let me think about that.
All right.
Is there the guy with the tiny head? He's my fave.
Yeah, he does make an appearance. Yeah.
Really? The tiny head guys on the touring company?
It was really cool. I'm sorry, I said the Ordway. It's at the Orpheum. My bad.
Okay.
But it was really awesome. True Broadway play. It was beautiful. People were crying. It was like amazing.
I don't remember there being tears during Beetlejuice,
Well,
but I
it's kinda
suppose
sad.
Yeah, but when you see it on the Broadway, it's always more dramatic when you see a Broadway play on the stage than a movie, a goofy movie. Yeah.
Right.
I meant to bring this up a little earlier, and maybe this is something for we could probably get a whole day out of this story, but I got to get here while it's still out in the ether. Michigan State Police pulled a woman out of an outhouse toilet this week.
She was stuck?
An outhouse toilet. She was stuck in a toilet. Yes, as exactly how it just sounds, in an outhouse toilet. Here's the problem. Cops got an emergency call. Someone said they hear a woman shouting for help from inside the outhouse toilet near a boat launch. The officers arrived. They found the woman had not fallen into or been deposited, but actually willfully climbed in herself. Because her Apple Watch had fallen in there.
Oh, for God's sake.
And she went to go get it.
No. It's an Apple Watch?
Rescuers had to remove the toilet and lower straps down into the receptacle bin, which is a nice way for saying the giant oversized crap bucket where she was stuck. They had to get her out with straps.
No.
She was not injured. She did retrieve her Apple Watch.
Who wants the Apple Watch anymore?
Tidy that up.
How could you possibly ever trust that it's clean enough to wear on your wrist again?
Right, they're waterproof, right? But I mean, they have the little. I'm looking at mine right now. It's got those little seams. There's always going to be feces in the seams.
I love nothing in life more than my two children. I might not have gone after one of them.
But all right, but seriously, what would you retrieve it or leave it? What would you go into the porta potty down in? All right, say you had, for some reason, it's just hypothetical. We're way outside thinking here, but say you had $10,000 cash in an envelope in your back pocket. You go into the porta potty, you drop your drawers. Whoops! Down in it goes. You're not replacing that. It doesn't have insurance on it. It's 10 G's cash. You're not going to try and reach down?
Reaching down's one thing. Lowering yourself in, that's a whole nother vibe.
No, I get a net.
For $10,000, I would just immediately start thinking about what can I sell to make $10,000 back.
What if you
I'm not going in there.
What if you found out that's where your wedding ring was? That's where you dropped it.
Please, my wedding ring's probably right outside my door. I haven't found it yet. Not a chance. I'm still married. I spend time with my wife every day. It's not like I forgot I was married because I lost my ring. Chauncey Gorman, great guy. Love him to death. He's laying down right at my feet as we speak. He's on his own if he goes into a porta potty. I'm sorry, man. That's disgusting. Would you chase Gigi into an outhouse receptacle?
I'm not a monster.
Well, she would be if she made you do that.
Oh, man.
Could you imagine? Yeah, she's so white. Oh, my God.
I can't imagine. I can't. I don't really know.
What if it's like, quicksand down there and you see Gigi and her head's disappearing? No. You're going.
Just a little tail going.
And you throw open the porta potty door and say, Steve, can you hold me by my ankles and lower me down into the.
Glub, 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 glub.
That's a really funny image, actually.
The last little poo bubbles coming up. Come on, man. Oh, an Apple Watch. Listen to me right now, and I mean this. If that Apple Watch were given to me by by one of my kids or my wife or if my mom is like, this is you could give me. There's nothing you could give me. There's no sentimental value attached to a single object on this planet. I'm putting myself into a outhouse receptacle to go retrieve.
Well, what if Mom went in there? Stephen, help me.
One of the original copies of the Declaration of Independence, maybe, because that's worth about $10 million.
Right. That's what I was thinking of. Like, Valley, what would, where you just be out a lot of money? Because if it's a person that goes down in there, we're going to get the straps like they got that lady out
Tony,
there.
did you just ask if my mom herself
I
went in
did.
there?
Yeah.
You know what she'd say? She'd say, save yourself, honey. Save yourself. I'm fine. It's
Under
okay.
what scenario
I've
would
had a
your
great-
mother
I've had a great
end up
run.
in the porta potty?
I've had
potty?
a great run. How does that woman then explain for the rest of her life? People are like, I mean, if I ever, seriously, she walks in a room, everyone's just staring at that watch. Is that it?
Anyway, they arrested.
Let me smell it. Can I smell that watch? You sure that thing's clean?
Yeah, the band's got to go. You got to get rid of the band. It's going to soak in there. Yeah,
That's
no, that's
disgusting.
Hey, we have a caller here. Skip. Are you there, Skip?
Yep.
Okay, can you start over from the beginning?
Skip, what do you got for us?
Should I start over again?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
When I was in Alaska years ago, there was an article in the paper about a lady went in a porta potty, and there was a guy down in there with a flashlight. He was observing women, going to the
Come
bathroom.
on.
sure. Yeah, I mean, and that makes sense.
Yep, and she called the state troopers, and they arrested him.
Sure.
Because Alaska's probably frozen.
Yep, it was in Anchorage, Alaska.
Fair enough. Skip, thanks for the call, brother. Sorry, we got to bounce. We are working against the clock right now.
Volunteered to go down in there. Yeah, we did a story years ago. There was a lady. She was going to sit down in the porta potty and saw a red light. And there was a guy down there with it's before the phones were recording.
It was a cop car.
Yeah,
yesterday I saw a story. I meant
Yeah.
to mention this on the show. On an American Airlines flight, a 14-year-old girl was waiting in line for the lavatory, and a flight attendant said, "Hey, you can come up and use the first class bathroom. There's no line." And she was like, "Oh, okay." And the guy walks her up, and before she goes into the lavatory, he goes, "Hang on, I got to wash my hands first."
Yeah.
And he said the toilet seat's broken, but don't worry about it. The toilet works. And he had duct taped a cell phone and left the video camera running. And she saw it, took a picture of it, told her parents. Dude, the flight attendant was arrested. I mean, it's a bizarre story.
Yeah, that old trick.
Yeah, that old trick where you tape a phone with red tape to an airline seat and go, "It's no problem. No big deal here."
Okay, you try and do it. Jack, we need a professional comedian in here to bust up this conversation. Luckily, we have one, and not just any professional comedian. By God, she's the Acme Comedy Company headliner this weekend, Jackie Kashian. I always say Kashian.
No.
Kashian.
It is. I know I always get it wrong. Well, that's
Yeah.
all right. I'm not going to talk to her. I'm going to listen. Jackie Kashian coming up here at 9 o'clock. Hang tight.
I have no idea.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Friday, September the 22nd. And speaking of Friday, September the 22nd, you know what's going on tonight in town and tomorrow night, as has been the last couple nights. Jackie Kashian is at the Acme Comedy Club. Jackie.
Hello and welcome to me. Hi, Steve.
You made it in bright and early. Thanks for coming by.
I know it was. It's funny because I was like, well, I'm going to go to bed real early, and then all of a sudden, I'm gonna be so ready.
Yeah. How'd that work for you?
Now, finished a book right around 4:30.
Nice.
And then slept for 3 hours, and then was afraid that I was going to sleep through it. So
of course.
got up.
Welcome to our world. 5 days a week. I haven't heard my alarm once in months because I set it for whatever time, and then shortly before, I'm like, oh my God, what if I miss my alarm?
Don't miss your alarm.
That's it.
Yeah.
So not really a morning gal, are you?
I actually don't mind a morning, but I usually don't define it as 7 a.m. You guys, just
a sliding scale.
Yeah, it's a sliding scale as far as when I define. You know what I like a morning? 9 a.m. Well, because I like to get up 14 hours before I go to work. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah,
but
that does help.
Yeah, the shows tonight they're 7, but last night 7 to 9:30. 7 to 9:30, you guys.
Come on.
Last night was 8. So so plenty of time to.
Sure.
I have had, because I lived here in the 90s, right? And I've been here since Monday.
Right, okay.
Because I did some talking head thing for Hamline University on Tuesday with a couple of local comics and Neil Justin from the Strib. Some panel about the nature of justice. And here's the thing about the nature of, well,
please fill us in.
Well, the scoop is this. I don't know if you've probably seen a pattern with stand-up comics. We don't have a lot of information. Always got an opinion.
Sure.
At length, my friends. Feel free to ask me about anything except Israel, because I'd like to live.
Okay.
But I can do Azerbaijan if you need it.
Okay.
Anyway.
We're good with whatever you feel comfortable. Let's start with Kashian. What kind of name is that?
Exactly. That's why Azerbaijan came up. It's Armenian.
Okay.
So in the Midwest, of course, I have to explain that is not a Baltic swordfish.
It's not.
It is a country in the middle of nowhere.
It certainly is.
And but I'm Wisconsin Armenian.
Right.
So when I moved to Los Angeles, it was banana land because there's so many Armenians.
There certainly are. You can do a lot worse than a good dish at Zanku chicken.
Oh, Zanku, well, deep cut, my friend. Well played.
I was an LA guy myself for a while.
Yeah, this isn't your first rodeo.
No.
Well played.
No.
There's some drama with their family, too,
Oh,
I guess.
I know.
There was
That's
some
the
sort
best.
of murder-suicide.
Yeah.
And then we opened a chicken stand.
This is a chain of chicken. Great. Trust me, Zanku chicken, you could do a lot worse if you're in LA, but just don't get involved with the family.
That's true with anybody in a tracksuit. You're going to want to keep moving.
When you are, if you're seen publicly in a tracksuit and you are not planning to compete.
But I do love this. That always reminds me of when people wear jerseys to the games.
Sure.
Like, oh, he twisted his ankle. You got the playbook in your head.
That's
Come on
it.
down,
Come on down.
Jim.
Come on, let's do it. I'm wearing an Orioles shirt today.
That's right.
But see, I draw the line at someone else's name on the back. I wouldn't. If someone gives me a shirt, if it doesn't say Gorman on the back, I'm not wearing it. I'm not going to wear I wouldn't wear like a shirt that says Ripken on it. That would be weird.
I assume that is a player on that team.
Yes.
Here's the scoop. Is it Cal Ripken?
Yes,
or that
it is.
guy's dead?
Cal Ripken Jr. Very much alive.
Oh, there we go. That guy's alive. So here's a tale. Good morning. Plug and play, Kashian. So I went to my first ever high school reunion, like 5 years ago.
Really?
And we're all 100 now, right? So I am from a small factory town in between Milwaukee and Racine or Kenosha called South Milwaukee. Called that because it's east. We're not a bright people. But whatever.
South Milwaukee? That's the best they could come up with? Like, seriously.
It's south-ish. It's
Okay.
south and east. Anyway, it's its own town. We have our own water treatment plant. What have we learned from Flint? Get your own water treatment plant.
That's very good.
Back in 1895. So, but here's the scoop. It is a factory town, right? Or it always has been. Now it's kind of a bedroom community in between Chicago and Milwaukee.
Okay.
But dive bars galore. So that's where, of course, we had our reunion. We had our reunion at this bar that was half a dive bar where you would give up, and then half a room that had steam table, like a setup.
Okay.
Think sort of Ham Lake, right?
Okay.
But with a factory.
Okay.
And so we're in steam table room. This is in Wisconsin. I walk into the dive bar to get a beverage. And I essentially was behind a woman I had gone to high school with, and she was wearing, might have been 10 years ago, but because she was wearing a Packers jersey with a name on the back, and it said Marshall, I think.
Okay.
And she walks up to the bar, and she's with her husband who's wearing a matching jersey that says Marshall.
Oh boy.
And they're fancy. They look like they were probably $300 a piece, right? And I say, your last name isn't Marshall? And the pin drop in that dive bar.
Oh boy.
Like they were hotting up the tar and the feathers.
Yeah.
And I just looked around and I said, just tell me who he is. And then we'll all know.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I will have known that I made an error. He's a football player.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Probably pretty good. Beloved member of the community.
Beloved member.
Extended community.
I believe he was very handsome and had blonde hair. I think that's who I'm thinking of. Maybe it was Marshall.
You've been on the West Coast for how long?
Oh, these many years. 25. It's the longest I've ever lived anywhere in Los Angeles.
Really?
Yeah. I guess 25 years. I lived here till like 97, moved to L.A., and I've been in L.A. ever since.
So, funny folks in the Midwest, this is stop one, generally speaking. Milwaukee's a comedy hotbed for this area. Is that safe to say?
But no, Minneapolis is my home club. Mm-hmm. So I like Milwaukee. There's now a couple of clubs there, but forever there was no clubs, and I didn't get to play Wisconsin for many years. I was Christ-like in my hometown. My miracles didn't work.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. But now I am relatively successful, and I am allowed to play one of the best clubs in the country behind Acme Comedy Company. Mm-hmm. The best club in the country is Comedy on State, which is in Madison.
Oh, okay.
And then the third one is the Comedy Works in Denver.
Oh, really?
Yeah, those are the three best clubs.
Wow.
Happy staff. Yeah. I'm not even kidding. And run with some sort of, you can tell that the club owner shouldn't, there's a lot of comedy clubs where you're like, why didn't you just open a liquor store? You have absolutely no interest in stand-up comedy. And I'm talking, there's a guy who owns like 6 clubs, and each one is shittier, like just grumpier than, pardon my language.
Keep going. Keep going. Forward momentum, baby.
Don't worry about it.
All right.
Roll.
And,
part of your charm.
That's it, you guys. It's that Factory Town charm, you
That's
guys.
it.
Come on out to Acme tonight and hear me swear.
How do you explain to the average person you meet in L.A., how do you put your arms around how much drinking there is in a factory town in Wisconsin?
Oh, my God.
Because people on the West Coast have no concept.
No, well, if you get 45 minutes outside of Los Angeles, you are surrounded by people that were educated with the flat side of a shovel.
Sure.
It is not the Shangri-La that we are led to believe from the TV show The O.C.
The Inland Empire.
Right.
Oh, boy. As they call
Empire. It was, what did they call it? The Beverly Hills of the Inland Empire was some town I played. And I was like, that's a cry for help, you guys. Don't even do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just say that it's working out.
Yeah.
So.
My son's in Los Angeles now. We drove out last month from Nashville.
Oh, wow.
Took a big road trip, and we stopped, as you do, in Barstow. and he said to me,
for gas, I hope, and supplies.
That's exactly what it was. Because gosh, when you cross into that state line on 40, you can't believe how long it is between gas stations.
Yeah.
And at some point, he looked at me and goes, How does someone end up here? I said, I think you got to be born here.
I will say this: my husband's nephew. I am married, and
is that okay, or is this something you want to talk about? There was a resignation in that tone.
I can't tell you. When I first moved to Los Angeles, I had 2 different producers tell me that why didn't I just admit that I was gay, and I would get more work. And I was like, okay, first of all, this is straight in Wisconsin, and leave me alone.
You're going to get more work, at least. Maybe go with it.
And it's funny because you remember, I don't know how old you guys are, but when I was growing up, like all of my gay friends had been told that they weren't gay.
Okay.
That they should not, just go out there, try to be straight, get liquored up. And I have been told 3 or 4 times in my life that I was gay. And so, which is incredibly rude, but just think about all the gay people that were told that they were straight.
Of course.
Also, enormously rude.
It is.
And so, one time, I got liquored up, and I was like, let's do this. Let's give it a shot.
Sure.
And I ran it up the non-flagpole. And let me tell you something. The next morning, I woke up going, nope, that wasn't what I was looking for.
That's not it.
I'm going to need the pointy bit.
Yeah.
And,
I hear you. So let me get Wisconsin straight is LA gay. So Wisconsin gay is what, like Mr. T? You'd have to come out like that? I mean, oh my God.
It's super butch. But and I wasn't offended. I was just like, the third time it happened, though, I was like, what is happening? Is it me? Luckily, my husband, very nice.
That was my next question. How does he feel about all this?
Well, And he was raised by lesbians, so God knows, in California.
Well, then he would know.
He would know. He would know that there's an opportunity to not be gay, I guess.
I guess.
But because he had an opportunity to not be gay, and he took it. He took the world up on it, you guys.
I think I remember, Jackie, that you may have married a nerd.
I did.
And the reason I say that is I saw your stand-up one time, and you were talking about that. And then the story, we just had a story yesterday that, or maybe it was the day before, that nerds are in right now, that hot Instagram influencer gals are saying, get yourself a nerd.
If you see a guy who's got a lightsaber, that's a green light.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that my first time I was on Conan, I used to did this joke, and they clipped it so it sounded a little meaner than it was. But I used to do this joke about how you want to marry a nerd, you know, that guy, he's got a curio shelf. He keeps him off the pipe, keeps him off the pole. He's got to organize, his curio shelf. And we had a date the other night. We went to a game store and bought 2 Jumpstart Magic the Gathering packs and played a little Magic the Gathering, you guys.
Who says romance is dead?
Exactly.
Jackie Kashian is at the Acme Comedy Club tonight, 7 to 9:30. Tomorrow night, 7 to 9:30. And you said this a minute ago, but it's absolutely true. That is one of the great comedy clubs there is on this planet.
On this planet. Just what it is it's run with the audience, for 35 years he's been there. And what he's done is he's trained up an audience who knows how to watch comedy.
Yeah.
And I always encourage people, and not just for me, I'm the golden retriever of stand-up comedy. You're going to come and go, oh, good. But, I don't offend. I'm not offensive or anything. Pretty mellow. Right? I opened for Brian Regan.
Who's a good comic? That's our best comic.
Drop it. And but if you should always, before going to see any comedian, you should always YouTube Google. Because there's so many clips of comics.
Yeah.
Like, would you ever go see a band and go, oh, I hope it's heavy metal? And then it ends up being ska. Right? You're devastated. So just give it. And I brought my own openers, a couple of them. Everybody's in town. Brian Kiley, who wrote for Conan for like 25 years.
Okay.
They're both headliners, but they're splitting sort of the MC features, so they're flip-flopping.
Nice.
One person's, and they're super funny. And Brian Kiley, one-liner guy, and he was just in town. Mm-hmm. He was like, hey, I'm going to be in town, any chance? And I said,
yeah.
And but he's in town to go to a Twins game and then a Vikings game.
Attaboy.
He's a travel the country, go to a sport game.
Yeah.
And then my friend Anna Valenzuela is the other one, also MC featuring.
Right.
They're flip flopping.
Yep.
And she's they're both really funny, you guys.
That's great.
As am I.
As am I.
Just gonna let you know. It's all gonna work out.
And then along the way too, not one but 2 podcasts going. Concurrently.
Concurrently. I have the Jackie and Laurie show with another comic who plays Acme.
We had Laurie. She called in a few weeks ago.
Oh, she came.
She's
nice. Great. Yeah, she's great. She's incredibly, very funny.
Laurie Kilmartin.
Very funny. Dark, smart, funny. Get in on that.
Yep.
And then I have a podcast that I've done 18 years. The Dork.
That's the Calistoga wagon era of podcasts.
We circle it up. Ago. Let's talk about Oregon
Holy
Trail.
Smokes.
The Dork Forest is where people come on and they talk about what they love.
Yeah.
Like this week, I had a guy, an Australian comic named Will Anderson. He's actually played the club as well.
Okay.
But he moved right before lockdown and COVID. He moved back to Melbourne. And he's a radio guy now in Sydney.
Okay.
But he did an episode of The Dork Forest about cricket. And whenever anyone comes on and talks about sports, I don't know anything about them. I'm just psyched that someone's going to explain it to me.
Yeah, right.
And so for an hour and a half after that cricket episode, I knew how to play cricket. I knew how it was played.
Really?
Yeah, it's gone now. But there's I got a couple of snippets.
All I know is that they have tea breaks.
That's how long the games go.
Yeah.
But here's the weird thing. The sticky wicket business.
Yep.
There's 2 tiny poles, and the ball you have to hit the stick so that the ball falls off.
Okay.
And then you run around the bases.
If you say so. I can't get past that 30 seconds
I can't guarantee that that's exactly what it was, but that's what I retained. But he came. This week's episode is him talking about Australian rules football, which has almost no rules.
No. I used to go deep on that in the old days of ESPN. It's just pure unadulterated violence.
Just running right. It's
Yeah.
just like and spectacular, like jumping off each
Incredible.
other's backs.
Yes.
And if you Google Australian rules high marks, you will see a bunch of giant men leaping into the sky to grab balls.
So take Jackie's advice. Google Australian rules football high marks to see if you're going to like tonight's show. Right?
Right. That's it. You guys,
That's
super
it.
physical.
Acme Comedy tonight and tomorrow night. Jackie, thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
It is an absolute pleasure. Go see Jackie, the golden retriever of stand-up comedy. You are welcome here anytime, my dear.
Thank you, sir.
Good.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I am Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. You know what else is back? The 92 KQRS Kickback Jackpot. It's at $3,000. Meet up with Woody and Bud Light at Casper's and Egan during the first half of Sunday's game and sign up for the Kickback Jackpot. If the first play of the second half is a kickoff return for a touchdown by either team, you could win $3,000. And if not, we'll roll the prize money over to the next game and add another $1,000 to the pot. That sounds kind of fun. Complete contest rules at 92KQRS.com. The next time we are here on Monday, we will know if the Vikings are 1-2 or 0-3. I'm just going to go ahead and call my shot right now. The Chargers, they tend to charge things up. I think Minnesota gets a win at home.
Do you?
Call me crazy.
All right.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean,
2-0-2 teams. That's a
Yeah, I think the West Coast team coming to the middle of the country, home game for the Vikings. They're both 0-2. The Vikings, assuming they just protect the ball, this is a win, and it's a cover as well. There, I said it.
I feel comfortable with that. I mean, it's. I think this is a bit of a pick-em because both of these teams have stumbled out of the blocks and need to play some mistake-free.
Yeah.
Not exactly mistake-free, but they need to reduce the mistakes big time. Listen, I think, honestly, the Vikings have a shot at being 2-0 if you take away 7 turnovers. Now, that's a lot to say. I mean, the Eagles create some turnovers, too. They're a hell of a team, but the Eagles weren't up to par, up to, last year's Eagles team, and they were ready to be beat there in Philadelphia by a good team that was playing mistake-free football. The Vikings aren't necessarily more talented than the Eagles, but they could have been 2-0. So, eliminate those. Hold on to the ball. And scare up a little bit of a running game, and they beat the Chargers.
The dominoes can fall in both directions. Like now, if the Vikings cough the ball up a bunch and suddenly you're 0-3, it is like, okay, punt on the season.
Yeah.
But again, a couple less turnovers, and all of a sudden you're looking at a team that very well could be after Sunday 2-1 or 3-0. It really is that the early days of an NFL season. The line between success and failure can be very, 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 very thin, and that certainly has been the case with the Vikings so far. So all is not lost at all. I'm going to check out the Twins and the Angels tonight. I'll be at the old Target Field. How about that?
Good eve for that.
So I'm feeling pretty good about that. And then my Arsenal has the North London Derby, Derby as they call it over there. Sunday morning, I'll probably be at the local bright and early, 8 a.m., watching with all the Gooner fans. Tony, what's your weekend looking like?
Soccer as well, but it's going to be my own kinder.
There you go. Got 1 or 2 boys competing.
Both. It's constant.
The Lee boys out there. The Lee boys out there on the pitch. I love it. Zep, anything cool for the weekend?
I'm going to be riding around in the countryside, provided we don't get much rain tomorrow. If that rain will clear out for me tomorrow, I'll be out on the two-wheeler quite a bit.
Attaboy. All right, that works. Candace?
I'm gonna
silly question, but do you have any plans for the weekend?
I'm gonna lie down.
What?
Really?
I'm tired.
Oh man,
I've been doing a lot lately, just going and going and going.
See, that's what happens. You go and go and go during the week, and you wake up early and come to work. Then you get a couple days for fun, and you just say, screw it, I'm laying down.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
I don't think it's going to last.
I don't think so either. I guarantee you by 6 p.m. tonight, plans will have been made, outfits will have been chosen, Ubers will have been called. It's just a whole shooting match going on over there. Woo! Yeah. To be young and energetic again. All of us living vicariously through Candace Wheeler. fair enough. All right, well, we certainly wish everybody a great weekend, and especially, come on, Minnesota, let's get a W up there, can we? Can we go 1-2? Can we beat these godforsaken Los Angeles Chargers?
I'll tell you what I'm watching. We talked yesterday with Sam Ekstrom about this fan fodder and this whole Kirk Cousins being traded thing, and I'm like, I just don't see an NFL team, because you're basically giving up on the season. Yeah. You're telling the fans, your players, everyone on the staff, we quit this year. You guys were playing to win, now you're playing not to get hurt. It just doesn't happen that often in the NFL that at the beginning of the season, or any sports team, you'll see when you get close to the playoffs, if you're a washout, then all right, let's go ahead and get rid of that contract and this sort of thing. But I'm watching the pregame for Thursday Night Football last night on Amazon. Tony Gonzalez, Hall of Famer, knows a little thing about something about football, because when Gronk was saying, they're going to trade Kirk Cousins, I'm like, whatever, Gronk, shut up. I love you, shut up. But Tony Gonzalez last night, he's saying it, and the rest of the guys on that crew were saying it too. They're like, hey, one of these teams goes 0-3, and it's time to start selling it. Kirk Cousins has got to go to the Jets, and I'm like, what? Wow, it's crazy. Let's get the win and shut that kind of rhetoric up and think about maybe a season where we beat the Packers twice.
That's a game plan, ladies and gentlemen. I like it. Let's look back. How about a history lesson?
Sports go sports.
And music history. Okay, Steve.
Here we go. September 22nd, 1993, Nolan Ryan pitches his last game. He was 46 years old. This is, of course, a first-ballot Hall of Famer. The most strikeouts in Major League history, 5,700 plus, 7 no-hitters. 11 times he led the league in strikeouts, 8-time All-Star. Nolan Ryan's arm still works, and I will never not be amazed at that fact.
Yep.
I mean, just get up, rub a little Asper cream into it, and start throwing 100 miles an hour again. That's all that guy did for 30 years. My God, what an absolute just stud Nolan Ryan was for all those years.
The KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.